by the way, I'm like looking at this and I'm like, this is why I go to therapy. So I'm like, damn, there's some intense watches in here. Hi, I'm Will Poulter, and today we're going to be looking at some scenes from my career. Join me on an uncomfortable journey. That's some good pipe smoking. I was so cold. We shot this scene in the Canadian wilderness, which can be applied to 99% of the shots in the Revenant, provided an amazing view over the sort of like wilderness below. We actually rehearsed virtually every scene months prior to shooting it. So we kind of showed up to each and every location and did like a camera rehearsal and then returned to that point. Some locations, although we'd rehearsed in them, were like unrecognizable, months later, because seasonally it was, undergoing so much change. And quite honestly, like due to climate change as well, there were places where the reverse was happening. We'd show up and there wasn't enough snow. Naturally, we had to shoot the last section of the movie in the southernmost tip of Argentina because we ran out of snow in Canada.
Hey, answer me, Fitzgerald. I asked you a question.
Yeah, you're not gonna win that fight. That's Tom Hardy, and he'll probably beat you up.
Why you left your little boyfriend running around? You don't know if he's still alive yet. That what you wanna know? I'll tell you why. It's because you ain't a man yet. All right? It's because you were scared shitless. You're scared now. And put your rifle down.
Every take that Tom does is amazing. As Fitzgerald, he was incredible. And obviously at a certain point in the movie, we had a lot of stuff that was kind of like one-on-one, and there was this constant tension between our two characters, and this really was the kind of point at which it sort of combusted. I remember this being like a scene in the calendar, which I was like really nervous about, and there was a lot of like build up and kind of anxiety, for me, because, relatively like young actor opposite someone who, from a performance perspective, I kind of like really admired. I honestly found in the context of The Revenant, in every case, I was opposite actors who were so good that they do the vast majority of the work for you. It's just about like reacting to what they're doing. Like Tom is such a powerful performer, Leo is such a powerful performer. Donal is so intense too. And so it really just became about kind of like reacting to what they were doing. And that's not lip service. Like that genuinely was what it felt like.
Right now, be honest, did you say it?
Put your rifle down.
Did you say the read?
No. Not a single one.
There was like a general intensity that Fitzgerald had that kind of never waned. He just put so much doubt in my mind, through his own confidence.
Next time you want to shoot somebody, you might want to use power to prime your rifle.
I forgot, like after this, then I go and try and tackle him. I really don't learn the lesson. It's quite dark because I think like Bridges at a point where he's like, he's certainly lost his mind, is like at the end of his like will to live sort of thing. But yeah, you're picking a fight with Tom Hardy's not smart. One for you, one for me.
What is it?
It lets you see the bigger picture. I was a huge Black Mirror fan. I thought it was absolutely incredible. And really weirdly, I hadn't watched it in a while, and it was around the time of lockdown. And I feel like I turned on my Netflix and I checked out an episode of Black Mirror, and I was halfway through watching one. I paused it to take a call from my agent, and my agent said that the folks at Black Mirror had been in touch to see if I was available to shoot an episode. And I was like really terrified. I was like, 1 second. I was like, what the fuck is going on? I was like, yes. I'd love to audition, I think. Are they gonna kill me? It was a very like Black Mirror moment. I remember like people making comments about how yellow my tongue was, and I'd like down several Red Bulls to try and sort of simulate the experience of what listen, you're not gonna trip out as you would on acid, I assume, but just to give me a little pep in my step, turn my tongue yellow, and I think I caught a lot of heat for that online. One of the things that was pretty cool is the lighting and the music that was being played like live as well while we were kind of like acting on certain takes was really quite helpful. There's also like night shoot. Like night shoots, like a weird energy can sometimes consume you anyway, and you sort of find yourself slightly losing your mind, like find yourself sort of doing a version of like tripping. David Slade, who directed this, who's amazing, was brilliant at like keeping the energy up and pushing us to keep going and do loads and loads of takes. We had a lot of fun with it.
People think it's a happy game. It's not a happy game. It's a fucking nightmare world. And the worst thing is, it's real and we live in it.
I'm laughing only because it's a fucking nightmare world is like a descriptor for so many Black Mirror episodes. It's just like, it feels like straight out of Charlie's Handbook. I'm actually not great with heights. In addition to the rigging and the wires, I feel like there was also some sort of platform erected underneath. So like we couldn't actually fall that far anyway. I can't really remember. I've still got a Red Bull hangover.
Fair enough. See you around.
The splat. Yeah, I have absolutely no memory of where I actually went. As in, like, once I leave view of that balcony, I don't actually know how that happened. I don't know whether CGI takes over. I have no clue. I've sat with people while playing through it. There's nothing like watching your loved ones choose to kill you. That's a dark experience.
I didn't do too well in school. Got in quite a bit of trouble. Ditched the check. They caught me, made me wash dishes, and I loved it. What about you?
I kind of always had this dream of wanting to play a chef on TV and also do something about the hospitality industry and explore the incredible people, you know, that kind of define it. I was in a conversation with a really big production company at one point, and I pitched them my show about chefs trying to make it in a big city. And I heard crickets and I was a little bit bummed. And then I'm driving around LA and I look up one day and I see a billboard for this massive show called The Bear with all these actors in chef coats. And I thought, okay, that show already exists. And I was like, but it better be really good. And it was like the best thing I'd watched on TV in a while. I asked to meet Chris Storer. He graciously, and then I assume a moment of madness, decided to meet with me as well. And we hit it off so well. And I begged him for a role in The Bear, and he was kind enough to bless me with the part of Luca, and it kind of changed my life, man. It was like a really, really special part of my life now.
And then I started at this really great place as a commie, and this other chef started the same day as me. And I thought we were competition, but really we weren't. Like, he was better than me, much, much better than me.
It's kind of been alluded to, and you know, I think it's kind of like relatively safe to confirm that, you know, he's obviously sort of referring to Kami there, this idea that you have a kind of colleague that is initially maybe seen as like a form of competition, and then, you know, you kind of also realize like you're on your own path and it's not necessarily even that helpful to always see it as competition. Like, it's great to have someone bring the best out of you and push you, but also accept the fact that you're on like a different path, and, you know, you have to kind of pursue your own sort of individual journey.
So how long you been a cook?
About 1.5 years. You?
14 years now.
Oh, so you started when you was 3?
Yeah, so I was really lucky, like, you know, kind of key to developing that backstory was with Courtney Storer as well. So Courtney, who's a producer on the show, she kind of handled everything that pertains to the food. A lot of, you know, what you see in The Bear is based on her real experiences of working in kitchens and being in the hospitality industry for as many years as she has. Then the tattoos came about through working with my friend Benny Shields, who's an amazing tattoo artist in LA. He did all of Jeremy's tattoos, and I got to kind of just bring to him some sort of childhood memories. A lot of them are rooted in food experiences anyway, that I felt could relate to Luca's experience. And it was cool to have things that were personal to me and simultaneously personal to Luca. So like, I had a Tabasco bottle on my arm. That's because my brother's a huge Tabasco fan, so it was kind of for him. And I can remember as a young kid seeing my brother put hot sauce on his food, and I just wanted to be like him. So I would do that. My little sister's initials are CAP, so I had a cap on my arm, like a baseball cap. My older sister's a nurse, Jo, so I had a nurse tattoo for her. And then all of these things could apply to Luca's existence as well as my own. So they felt really personal and helped me feel like I could embody the character. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's a lanky British actor they painted gold. I think it was like 3 hours, but in and out, I think we got it down to about an hour and a half for the makeup and then like half an hour for the hair, I wanna say. The team are unbelievable. Stunt people are continually like underappreciated and overlooked. They are some of the most like multi-hyphenated talents you could come across. Our stunt coordinator, Heidi Moneymaker, she is like so amazing, was incredibly patient with me, and the gentleman who doubled me, Ben. I struggle with choreography quite a lot, but they were super patient, and it was a fun process getting to learn that. And like the fight with Drax was especially cool. You know, I grew up watching Dave as a wrestler, and I've been such a fan of what he has since done as an actor. He's a brilliant actor and also the sweetest human being. Like, you couldn't ask for a nicer guy to beat the crap out of you. I also fully accidentally punched Dave in the face, and he was too nice to say anything. And he was sort of like turned away from me, and he was like, no, you're good. And he like walked off and like got his makeup touched up. He accidentally turned to show the side of the face that I suspected I might have punched him on. It was gold. There was gold knuckle prints on his face. So I knew he was being too nice to tell me, you punched me in the face, you idiot.
Good job. Danke.
This is post the discovery of the unicorn. Paul and Jenna, as the leads of the film, they have struck this unicorn with their vehicle. They kind of try to hide it, sort of deny kind of what it is in the first instance. The Leopold family that I belong to have discovered this, and they've sort of taken the unicorn in their own hands and into their own designs, which are pretty self-serving and malevolent. Jenna Ortega's character is wanting to be responsible and has warned people against their plans. My character's just such an idiot that he's basically either just trying to do exactly what he's told by his very malevolent parents, or just find out how he can benefit from it himself in some way. And he's sort of pretending like he's got more than 12 brain cells in this scene. Paul makes this hilarious noise here that it's so subtle, but it's great.
I can see why you've done so well at the firm.
I'm such a comedy nerd, and you know, I grew up watching so many of Paul's films and quoting them, whether it's Anchorman or whether it's Role Models, whether it's his work in Friends. You know what? Paul taught me how to like have fun with it more. I used to find comedy so torturous, and comedy was psychologically like the hardest thing to do in a way. I would like purge myself of all my positive energy when doing comedy, and then I'd go home and feel kind of depressed. But between Alex Schaffman, our amazing writer-director, and Death of the Unicorn was his debut, which is a wild thought. Like between him and Paul, they really set this amazing tone on set of like fun and play, and that was just the best environment to do something like this in. And I fell back in love with comedy because of that.
Griff! Get Elliot a suit!
Oh, no, really, it's okay.
You sure?
Yeah.
He doesn't mind.
No,
Okay. Griff! Forget it!
Poor Griff, man, played by Anthony Carrigan, who is just so funny in this movie. I loved the dynamic that developed between us, where like, I'm just objectively awful to him and he's so long suffering, and Griff is like a favorite character of this movie. People like love him, and for good reason. And Anthony's so funny, so talented, and such a good dude.
I think it must be a moose mating season or something. I was about done anyhow. Pass me that rope.
To me, like, Shepard's like kind of closer to that sort of like relatively like neutral American accent, if I can say that. There wasn't too much vocal work, truthfully, with Shepard. Accent work for The Revenant was tricky because there's no reference, right? Given the time period, that one was harder. The Bear was easier, you know, because it's the closest I've gone to my own accent. It's maybe a slightly different. In my mind, like Luca grew up in North London, and that was also an excuse to make him an Arsenal fan as well, because I am. But yeah, like accents really help me feel less like myself and more like the characters, and I see them as like a an additional piece of costume that I'm putting on every day, you know.
Just working in the garden.
Well, I take it back even further to the time in which like I first received the script for Midsommar. And I remember reading it and thinking like, I don't know if there's anyone who can pull this off. I haven't seen like a filmmaker in recent times who could execute this. It seems so bonkers and so ambitious and so unique and so challenging, like who can do this? Then I saw Hereditary and I was like, oh, Ari Aster, the guy who wrote it and made that one, can make this one. And sure enough, like Ari is unbelievable, singular as a filmmaker. He made a really, really unique film once again with this. And watching it, it's really disturbing and it kind of gets in your bones. And I think like the best horrors do. Midsommar did it while also being like, I think visually really exciting and funny at times too. And I'm a bit embarrassed about talking about Midsommar only because it's chock full of all these like amazing complex performances, and I'm kind of like an idiot in the film. But I had so much fun, and for me the experience wasn't all that trying. It was just a really good time because I'm sort of wandering around in a state of like obliviousness as Mark, whereas other people are having to sort of allow the disturbia to kind of wash over them a bit. Whereas Mark is kind of like not emotionally intelligent enough to realize what's going on. And that I think immunized me against getting actually scared.
Nej! Vad håller du på med? Sluta bort därifrån! Vad håller du på med? Din jävla idiot! Bort därifrån! Bort! Ta bort din äckliga jävla kukosteg! Försvinn därifrån nu! Våra förfäder ligger där! Du står och pissar på mina förfäder! Din lilla amerikanska jävla vän!
I do not know how he does it. But his combination of things that are like, visually as unique and as complex as his sort of cinematography tends to be, his framing, the exactitude with which he directs is unbelievable. Ari's the only director I've worked with who talks about moving in hairs. He's like a hair to your left, like half, like a hair back to your right, and then back on that same point by a hair. Like he's very, very specific. But it kind of makes sense when you see the framing, right, and the camera work. And Pavel, our DOP, who I actually bumped into the other day, is a genius. And what he's able to achieve in this movie, is incredible. Also, and I'm just looking because of the like jeans tucked into the socks, that was actually an Ari Asterism. Ari's fears around working in this environment was like ticks, the possibility of getting Lyme disease, which is obviously a very real thing. He thought like it would be funny if Mark kind of had some of those neuroses himself, hence the jeans tucked into the socks.
All right. All OPs are under attack. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna collapse to the first deck, Cassavac Elliott. Break it down, let's get ready to move.
This is Warfare, which is co-directed by Alex Garland and Ray Mendoza. Ray Mendoza's a former Navy SEAL who survived this event. And, the objective of the film was to try and tell this story as a literal retelling with kind of no fictionalization or dramatization whatsoever. It's based on the memories of the people that were being there. So a combination of the Iraqi family and the soldiers in this building that you see us in, which the majority of the film takes place in. And the sort of goal for, I think, Ray and Alex was to tell a story that wasn't punctuated by Hollywood grammar at all. And what I mean by that is no kind of fictitious elements. It was supposed to be like a very kind of literal recreation of the events based on memory and based on the facts. Effectively what the movie does is kind of explore like the loss on that day for everyone involved and the consequences of war, which are never positive. And this is at the point at which we first contacted by some people in the street, and a grenade has just been thrown into our position, and then we come under fire. Ray having been there, and also access to and contact with so many other people who were there that day and experienced it, was really kind of a unique opportunity to recreate something based on the facts of the matter. It meant that the acting challenge was sort of different, and it wasn't so much like regular acting, which was more immersive for us. So basic underwater demolition SEAL training, otherwise known as BUDS, and lots of things in the military are like an acronym, is considered kind of one of the hardest sort of training programs you can go through. And so naturally as actors, we were never going to be able to do that. The attrition rate is like up at 80%. And then, even, the guys who try out are already some of the like fittest people on earth. So, the men and women who operate at this level are far superior to any of us as it is. So we had to do a very kind of like watered down, condensed version of the training to simulate it as accurately as possible. And we did like a 4-week boot camp. And thereafter we kind of operated as much as possible like a military unit.
2, this is 1. We've had grenades thrown into our position.
Copy, 1, we're in contact 2.
Elliot is injured. Are we coming to you or are you coming to us?
Well, with this film, there's like very little dialogue that isn't technical or kind of from the sort of military handbook, if you like. There's very little characterization other than what you can kind of glean from watching them sort of respond to the protocol of the environment they're in. There's no like glorification or romanticization of what they're doing. Like it's a pretty shit situation for everyone involved, and that's really kind of the point I think it's making. This was sort of more about kind of literal depiction as opposed to promotion of any one thing. And I think there was an argument that like within the canon of war films like that needed to sort of exist. Thank you very much for watching.